We are moving into our closing session. I'd like to welcome our Deputy Chief from UNDR, Mr. Abhilash Panda, to come to the podium to share some summary and closing remarks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, colleagues. The panel was very interesting. The experiences of member states, partner agencies. But as we bring this dialogue on resilient recovery to a conclusion today, please allow me to share our deepest gratitude to all of you on behalf of UNDRR. Also our appreciation and big thanks to the government of Japan, Hugo Prefecture, ADRC, all the RP steering committee members who are here now, and most of it, all of you who managed to travel all the way, stayed with us in this room. But I'll also extend my thanks to those who are not in this room today and had to carry on with other businesses. So we sincerely appreciate your support, your engagement, your advices, but also your the deliberations that you went through. Before I go further, I want to take this opportunity to thank also everyone who is here in this room. On the right-hand side, the back of it, everybody who assisted you through your last 2-3 days. My colleagues Sandra, Paul, Mari, Yuki, who are here in this room or otherwise trying to do something. So it's a big thanks to all of them and to you. Now, I have been with this team of IRP for the last 2-3 years. This may be my second or third meeting in this forum. Every time the conversation has evolved and changed, the recovery remains at the center of it. But every time when we have come to this conversation, I have personally walked out learning something new. Something new has happened. It could be a pilot. It could be in a country that we may not knew about it. It could be an initiative by a partner agency. It could be new member states who have come in to this conversation. What it basically tells us is the need, the interest of member states, the needs of member states, the partners. But at the same time, this conversation that happened, the one before, but also what was discussed yesterday and today morning, what it also is evident is that this journey still requires a lot of collective effort. And we don't think invariable if it's just one agency or one platform or one partnership that's going to solve this issue. Member states will remain at the front of it. The role of International Recovery Platform, its partners, but those who are not maybe in that partnership is to stay behind you, assist you in that process, and to bring forward whatever is needed, be it knowledge, resources, technology, whatever is needed and whatever is feasible. And that's something that needs to happen more of in the next 4 or 5 years of what's left of this Sendai framework. And we need your, not just engagement, but also your guidance. Because sometimes what happens is, maybe you already have a solution that you have tried and tested and it works. And we may not be aware of it. It could be just taken and tried in another environment. And that's a knowledge which is with you, less with us. So we look forward to your continued advice and engagement in itself. I mean, if there are 3 or 4 points which I noted that I wanted to share with you, one is recovery readiness is no longer an option. We need to make it happen. It would happen in different ways. A framework is just an instrument. Delivering it, contextualizing it to a country-specific need is always the part of the journey in itself. But we need to make it happen, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of the entire partnership, that it's our job now to go ahead with you and do it. Secondly, if you have not seen the priority actions that were adopted at the World Resilient Recovery Conference, please do so, because a lot of what you mentioned in your conversations during the panel, during the roundtable, are part of those. The conversation now is, how do you deliver it? Because I think we all agree on what needs to happen. It always challenging part always comes after, okay, how do you do it? whether it's the issuance of new cat bonds, or do we need an income-linked contingent financing instrument behind it, so on and so forth. But I think it's a matter of making it happen, which is already out there. The International Recovery Platform, the partnership around it, we heard in the panel before the financing one, what needs to happen, what should be the 3 must-do things, and that's our job. That's our responsibility, and we will be accountable for it along with the wider partnership behind it. And we will get back to you in a few weeks' time on how we think that's feasible, whether it's what Kali from UNDP and UNOPS mentioned, around linking it closely with the Santiago network, whether it's trying to find ways to build the bridges with fund for responding to loss and damage, so on and so forth. But that's our part of the journey, our accountability, and we will bring forward to you. And the last would be that the need of political will, and that's not something in our hands, that's more in your hands. If we want to make it, I think the gentleman who asked the question around how do we make it happen, the need of political will, there's a high dependency that partner agencies will rely on member states to also make it happen. And if you need evidences, if you need a solid argument or justification, that we can bring forward. And what I'm trying to say is, we will work with you, but you would also need to help us build that political will in itself. So those were the 3 or 4 takeaways from at least for me, and I hope it makes sense to you. As you leave Kobe, and if you are joining the field visit tomorrow that has been arranged, you're going to see some very interesting efforts being made, some by the, I think, the wider Hyogo government and the Japan government. And it is now up to the RP, but also with you, to see what happens next. So thank you very much. Have a safe trip. And we definitely appreciated your engagement and support in the conversation that we had. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abhilash. And now if I could please welcome our last speaker, Ms. Ohashi Makiko, the director in the Cabinet Office of Japan, if she can safely make it to the stage for her closing remarks.
Okay, thank you, Paul. So distinguished guests, colleagues and friends. So as we conclude this special forum, IRP, let me first express my sincere thanks to everyone in this venue for active participation, and also online audience for kind attention. So following the World Resilient Recovery Conference organized in June, these 2 days showcased lots of experiences of disaster recovery in all the countries with great practices and success stories, and already identified some important lessons. Also, as we continue organizing this forum over years, while more and more countries actually experience the disaster recovery, it is actually good for us to hear more frank views, more concrete programs on ground, or sometimes with really outbursts of frustration. Also, it is good to find some of the countries recently started working on a wholesome resilient recovery process, after experiencing maybe intensive and frequent disaster that they didn't have before. So all would serve as rich sources of refining the recovery readiness framework we are now working on. So as many of us implied at this forum, the issue of resilient recovery is an essential part of the general urban and regional development, and also maybe national security. So by advancing this resilient recovery, there is a huge room for us to incorporate this in a developing agenda and involve official agencies such as private and civil partners also in these diverse fields of the development. As we are now in the process of pilot testing of the resilient recovery readiness framework in some countries, and once it is finalized and put into practice, we will now step into the critical stage of showing the importance and value of resilient recovery. And we will urge all of you here, as well as all other countries and other international partners not staying here, to show that we are actually working on it and bring back the lessons and success stories, or even failure stories later on, as raised by Abhilash right now. So in the DRR management cycle, recovery maybe has the biggest gap in the brain and working hands of the planning and execution at the state and level and the regional levels. So with collective efforts and collective lessons of ourselves, we'll show a steady step forward in filling the gaps found in the midterm review of the Sendai framework. So once again, our sincere appreciation goes to UNDRL and the IRP Secretariat, well, namely Sandra, Abhilash, Paul, and Mari, and also Hyogo Prefecture and Asian Disaster Reduction Center. So hope you all enjoy the rest of the stay in Japan, and maybe with an excursion tomorrow to Awaji Island, is it? Yep. And wherever, whichever activity you would plan for the rest of the stay. But by the way, the weather forecast says that tomorrow the temperature will be 30 degrees Celsius and the humidity is hooping over 80%. Mind you, 30 Celsius is not really bad, but it will really give you a heat stroke when the humidity is really, really high, so be aware while you stay. Okay, so thank you and keep in touch. ありがとうございました。
Thank you, Director Ohashi, and to Abhilash for truly the perfect closing remarks. But as the MC, I'm taking the privilege of having the last word. Just to say one more time, to thank all of you for having traveled so far. I know I'm looking around the room and I can see, I know your itineraries. I know how difficult your journey was to get here. So thank you for coming, for your active engagement, your enthusiasm, your commitment, and for your partnership toward these really fruitful discussions that we've had over the last 2 days. And I also wish to thank the folks that have joined us online. We can't see any of them, but thank you for sticking with us to the end. And with that, I'd like to bring this high-level dialogue to a close. Thank you very much, everybody.